Hi, friends, and welcome to Peace is Here. I'm your host, Avis Kalfsbeek. This is another episode in the Wolff Peace series, a journey through Robert Paul Wolff's 1966 anthology, Political Man and Social Man. In each episode, we pair one of the featured political theorists with someone who lived peace as a daily radical practice. Together, they help us explore the tension between power and principle and what peace truly requires. The Thinker, Émile Durkheim, 1858 to 1917. Émile Durkheim, a founding figure in sociology, spent his life studying how societies hold together in the face of modern change and complexity. In his groundbreaking work, Suicide, he argues that suicide isn't just a private act of despair, it can be a symptom of social disconnection. He identifies three main types: egoistic suicide, when individuals feel isolated and unsupported; altruistic suicide, when people are so deeply tied to a group or cause that they sacrifice themselves; anomic suicide, when sudden upheaval, economic, political, or personal, shatters the moral framework people rely on. Durkheim writes, when society is disturbed by some painful crisis or by beneficent but abrupt transitions, it is momentarily incapable of exercising its influence, and man is freed of all social constraints, is no longer regulated. In other words, we don't thrive in a vacuum. We need structure, shared meaning, and a sense of belonging. Without those, people can lose their footing, even when change seems positive. For Durkheim, peace isn't simply the absence of violence, it's the presence of durable, humane social bonds. Peace Pairing, Jean Vanier, 1928 to 2019. To balance this sociological lens, we turn to Jean Vanier, a Canadian humanitarian and spiritual thinker who founded large communities, homes where people with and without intellectual disabilities live together in mutual support. Vanier believed that the deepest human hunger is not for autonomy or success, but for relationship. He wrote, "Peace requires the daily work of empathy, presence, and shared vulnerability." Vanier's work wasn't about building institutions. It was about breaking down walls between able and disabled, between strong and weak, between the so-called whole and the so-called broken. He showed that healing happens not through systems alone, but through slow, humble acts of shared life. Together, Durkheim and Vanier remind us that peace is social. We are not machines. We need one another, not only in crisis, but in the soft daily rhythms of care and companionship. Your peace questions to ponder. Big picture. What kinds of community make people feel seen, known, and loved, not just managed? Day-to-day life. When someone around you is struggling, do you rush to fix, or do you dare to stay with them in silence and solidarity? Before we get to the closing notes, because this episode mentions suicide, if you or someone you know is struggling, help is available. In the U.S., call or text 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Free, confidential, and available 24/7. That concludes this episode of Peace is Here. You can learn more at aviskalfsbeek.com, where I share updates on this podcast and my books. I write best friend activist short fiction in the Pedro the Water Dog Saves the Planet series, eco-adventure novellas for readers who care about justice, joy, and saving the world one story at a time. And I'd be grateful if you followed my Kickstarter campaign at aviskalfsbeek.com/Kickstarter. Coming up next, more thinkers, more peace pairings, and more bold questions from the Wolff Peace series. This episode is human narrated by me, but created with the help of AI, which has promised to let me know if it makes something up. So far, no confessions. But if you believe I've missed something, or if you just want to say hello, I'd love to hear from you. Podcast music is Dalai Lama Riding a Bike by Javier Peque Rodriguez. You'll find links to his music on Spotify and Bandcamp in the show notes. If you enjoyed this podcast, it really helps me if you subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. A quick rating or review helps others discover peaceful, independent storytelling. And if you have a project that can use a calm, peaceful narrator, my cloned voice, Amaya Calm, is now available in the 11 Labs Voice Library. AMAYA Calm. The voice is designed to support storytelling that promotes peace and dignity. You can even have Amaya Calm read to you using the 11 Labs Reader app. She sounds like this. Peace is not something you wish for. It's something you make, something you do, something you are, and something you give away. John Lennon. If you haven't used 11 Labs yet, it helps me if you use the link in the show notes below. The link is try.11labs.io/peace, and 11 Labs is spelled out. I'll earn a small affiliate payment which supports my creative projects focused on peace. I'm Avis Kalfsbeek. Thank you again. Until next time, listen for the peace.